I'm really excited to have you guys here, and you're working on this really cool project called The Jerry Duncan Show. Tell us about the inspiration for this, originally as a play on stage, Broadway, and now morphing into this web series. Tell us about this. It's my friend and our friend June was telling me about it. It sounds really cool, funny, and exciting. And I've seen little, clips, and we do have some video to show everybody as well. But how did the idea of this get started?
Well, actually, I was listening to a DJ in Phoenix. He was real bombastic, arrogant. It's a show that I listened to all the time. It was a talk show. And he wasn't even listening to his guests. I mean, one time I thought he was actually ordering lunch while the guest was talking. And so I said, you know what? I got to answer for these guests. I got to be this guy. And so while the guests were talking, I would answer real sarcastically. I said, you know something? I'm just going to put this on paper. This is kind of funny. And that's how I created this DJ called Jerry Duncan. He's kind of, if Howard Stern and Donald Trump had a love child, it would be Jerry Duncan. And
So then, you said, we want to turn this into an actual.
right. So what I did was I started writing different sketches,
Yeah.
and then I submitted it to different humor columnists, to humor publications online, and Humor Times, www.humortimes.com. They liked what I was writing, and they published my first one. It was an interview with Ben Carson, and so it went over really well. And so I started writing other interviews of other politicians, and then I started introducing celebrities like Roseanne, and so we did topical humor that was going on, and politics especially. And that's what Humor Times is all about. So I got a regular column. So I submit. So I've done over 150 Jerry Duncan columns. But then one day I said, you know what? I want to parlay this into a play because I've always liked to write plays. I have written plays. I've had plays produced. And so then I took Jerry Duncan, created a different type of situation where he has a home life and then he has a studio life, and got in touch with Joe Batista, who's the 13th Street artistic director over in the Village. And he loved it. He said, this is great. I worked with Joe before in another play. And so he said, I want to produce this thing. We don't have much of a budget, and you'll have to kick in a few bucks, but we're going to do this on a low budget. And I know exactly who I want for actors. And so we did this, and it was very successful. It was off Broadway, but we got a rave review in Broadway World. And that kind of got me pumped. Like, there's no more theater. We were right in the middle of this thing. We just started. And the pandemic broke out the second week. So I didn't want this to go to waste. I've always wanted to do YouTube series. And I got in touch with June because June knows everybody in New York. I mean, if the baby is born today, June knows who that baby is. And so she introduced me to Bart.
And she knows that it's not hers, too.
Yeah, she knows it's not hers. And so I connected up with Bart, and the three of us teamed up, and we decided to be co-producers on this. And then we started looking for a director, and that's how we met Nick. Nick had the greatest audition. It's probably the best audition since Jerry Seinfeld interviewed Michael Richards when he did his lines standing on his head. Nick has a great sense of humor, and he brought in, Nick can tell the story, but I believe, Nick, you brought in an urn, right?
Yes. Well, it's my mom passed, both my parents passed away in 2018. And then we decided with my mom's, for some reason, my mom's ashes ended up at my house. My brother brought them from the West Coast. My mom grew up in Brooklyn, and we thought we'd slowly, every year for her birthday, because we used to get together for her birthday. And I should say June plays mom, dead mom on the show. We we're going to scatter her ashes in Brooklyn, and it's San Francisco was her favorite city that she lived in, and things like that. So we're going to, every year on her birthday, we're going to meet. But now because of COVID, we haven't been doing that. So my mother is sitting on my bookcase shelf. And so that led to other things. And basically the show became a lot about a guy who's trying to move on, but is kind of unable. So he has conversations with his mother and stuff, and he's figuring out how he moves on in life. And the radio show is taking off, and it's introducing to people. So we're looking forward. Right now we're shooting under COVID umbrella. So that's going to be fascinating. All the actors are shooting in their individual places, and we're editing it all together. So it'll be a lesson in editing.